Good evening, guys and dolls. I'm your host, Casey, joined by my other hosts, Evan.
Yo.
And Sarah.
Hey.
Hey, so we're back. This is episode 2 of the Weeb Sports Podcast.
Okay,
and
I
tonight...
thought you weren't going to say the name.
No, I got it. I have a little script here. I'm on pace right now. Yes, I am. I prepared. And so... tonight, we are going to be fulfilling the other half of our name of our podcast, because last time we did the Weeb, tonight we do the sports. We're going to start off,
and tomorrow we dine in Valhalla.
Yes, that's the natural progression of things. The part of the podcast name you can't see is Dine in Valhalla. So yeah, you can't see that part though, but it's there. But tonight we're doing basketball, a sport I've been playing for my whole life, and a sport that is the kind of thing where it's if you have any sort of athletic ability, you've played basketball because it's the easiest one to do, because the courts are already set up and all you need is a ball, and nobody has to consent to be physically hurt like you do for football.
Hey guys, you want to hear an actual cheer that the cheerleaders did during basketball games at my high school?
Heck yeah.
I do.
They went BASKETBA basketball, everybody yell. I'm not kidding. I had a little dance
if you
too,
do that again on this pod, I'm going to mute you.
And it was a variation of, you can't mute me, I'm the server admin. And it was a variation on the football one, where they went FOOTBALL, football, everybody yell. But during basketball season, they just spelled out basketball.
Well, I mean, I'll mute you as in when I have the audio at the end and I have the 3 tracks, I'll mute you when you're doing that.
I'll flame you on twitter.com on the official podcast. Through voice tweets, which we found out the podcast account can make voice tweets. I have no fucking clue how the account we created less than a week ago can do that, but it can. I want that on my personal account, Twitter. At Twitter. Give it
at
to
Twitter.
me.
They'll get this mentioned through our audio podcast.
I'll fucking tag them in the announcement post. I don't give a fuck.
It'll be translated. But yeah, we now have me saying penis in our drafts on that account. And that's where it shall remain. But let's get into our topic for tonight, which is the sport of basketball. We're doing a crash course on it, but first I'd like to start with asking some questions, which is, what is everybody's previous experience with basketball? Have you guys played before? You guys, of course, well, at least I know Evan was in basketball band. What are your guys' previous experiences with the sport? Let's start with Evan.
I remember when Kobe Bryant died.
Yeah, that one hit me hard.
No, seriously, that's like the first thing that comes to mind when I think of basketball. It's just like, oh, that guy that died in the helicopter crash. I remember it was invented down in Florida. Didn't they used to play it with peach baskets?
Wrong.
What?
It was peach baskets, yes. It was not invented.
I thought it was invented at like a YMCA down in the South.
It was invented in Florida, but it was definitely not in a YMCA down south. I will check where it is. I'm sure it wasn't in Florida because I know exactly where it was. Hold on a second. I just need to make sure I'm right. No, you're not going to look this up. I'm going to look it up.
Springfield College in 1891. Where's Springfield College?
Yeah, Springfield College, I'm pretty sure, is in Indiana or Illinois. One of those.
I can look that up very easily.
You can look that up. You will look that up really easily.
Where is Springfield College? Ooh, train just went by. I heard the little horn.
Put that in the podcast.
Springfield, Massachusetts. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Basketball was invented in Massachusetts.
Yep, and I remember it was personally because, it's hard to find a sport that's truly American because James Naismith is a Canadian man.
Oh. I just assumed it was down south because peach baskets. I assumed that they just had them around.
Peaches are everywhere, dude. Fucking love some peaches. We stand peaches.
So you're an ass man.
No, just the general fruit. You ever had a peach? Peaches are good.
I think the last time I had a peach, it just spilled juice all over me.
Well, that sounds like a you problem, dude. So, Sarah, what are your previous experiences with basketball?
Okay, you're gonna hate me. So, I'm not a fan of basketball. I think it's just like when I watch basketball, it's just squeak squeak, squeak squeak, like the squeaking of the shoes, and then the fucking buzzer. I hate that thing. Oh my
Basketball
So-
is short people discrimination.
Well,
Yeah.
we found out, by the way, I can go
Heading.
into that. Short people are not discriminated against in basketball because one of the most illustrious careers, one of the more illustrious careers in the NBA, the guy who played forever was a guy named Muggsy Bogues, who was 5'3". He's short
God,
by normal
shorter
people's
than me.
standards.
Mm-hmm.
He's short by like normal standards, and he was in the NBA, and his highlights are some of the most fun things to watch.
Shorter than
Because
Billy Joel.
That is extremely
Billy Joel's
specific.
5'4". Billy Joel is 5'4".
Thanks. Billy Joel's 5'4".
5'4".
Let me see
That doesn't sound right. Somebody look that up.
He's short. He's short.
5'4".
I mean, I can buy that he's short.
He's 5'5". Billy Joel is 5'5".
Muggsy Bogues is shorter than Bill Joel. Bill Joel.
Billy Joel is 5'5".
Oh,
Well, that's how
Old
tall
Willie
Earl
Joel.
Boykins was. Earl
Who?
Boykins, yet another NBA point guard, an NBA player.
These aren't real
Earl Boykins.
people.
These are real people. You can look both up. Muggsy Bogues, Earl Boykins. And guess what? A guy won the NBA dunk contest. A thing you have to do to do that is be able to dunk on a 10-foot hoop, and he was
I was
5'7".
Damn.
His name is Spud Webb. All of these are real people you can look up.
And all
Two
of
of
them
them
are
are from the 80s and
variously
90s.
variously taller or shorter than Billy Joel.
Yes, they are all in the general vicinity of Billy Joel height-wise.
They orbit somewhere around Billy Joel's height.
Orbit
John's
around Billy.
5'8".
Does Elton
Bruce
John fall
Springsteen's
into the
5'10".
orbit? Why do you have this up?
Because Google's like telling me like somewhat relevant people. Like one of Billy Joel's ex-wives or maybe wife, I'm not sure. Christy Brinkley, she's 5'9".
Oh,
Let's see how tall Ellen Page is.
all right. This
Because
is
I
our
know
last
she's
fight.
short. Ellen Page
Last
is
fight.
5'1". Oh my god, the picture that comes up when you look up Ellen Page, she just looks super dead.
Well, I've watched a couple episodes of Umbrella Academy.
Oh, she's
And
short as
during-
hell. Okay,
Oh,
that's
and
because they
during
put her
that,
up
she
next to
also looks
Tom
dead tall.
Hopper. Like the guy who plays Luther, he's 6'5".
Yeah, well, the guy who plays Luther's 6'5", and he looks like Kingpin from Spider-Verse, like specifically from Spider-Verse.
Specifically from Spider-Verse, yes.
Specifically that, because other variations of the Kingpin aren't that wide. He's the wide Putin meme without having to be extended. He just is.
Did you know Ellen Page is Canadian and her full name is Ellen Grace Philpotts Page?
Why are we talking
This is
about
no
Ellen
look.
Page?
Because we were talking about Billy Joel.
Okay. Why? I could go into why we were talking about Billy Joel, but instead we're going to go back to the joke I was trying to make earlier, which is
Yeah,
that
go back.
Sarah seems to go temporarily blind when she watches basketball because all she knows about is the sounds.
hey.
Hey, you started it.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, I think of all like the sports I could think of off the top of my head. You know, granted, that's like basketball, hockey, horse riding. Like of all
You
those,
thought
of
of horse
all
riding
sports,
before you thought of football or baseball.
you remember how hard I got into steel ball run last year?
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Anyway,
remember
yeah.
the first time I heard about it was because you asked me, hey, what happened to Jesus after the Bible? And I was like, oh, he
Yeah.
ascended into heaven. You're like, God damn it, that means that Steel Ball Run couldn't have happened. I'm like, well, that's what set it apart. Everything else was kind of in line, but that's what set it. That's kind of what made it tip over the edge. But
There's a
back
show
to
on right now,
basketball.
Habarama. It's very like steel ball run. It's very good.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We'll do that another
basketball.
Back to basketball.
No, there was a point that I was actually trying to make.
Mhm.
Of all of the sports that I could think of, basketball is kind of like one of the more auditory ones. Like, if I was blind, if I couldn't see and had seen a basketball game in the past and just heard the audio, I'd be like, yeah, that's basketball. In football, you just hear them like screaming, and then you hear a lot of people crunching up against each other.
Mhm. Football is an auditory sport when you're on the field. It is not an auditory sport anywhere else. Like, for me, I remember football, and we hit something.
I just remember being.
I just hit the
afraid.
wall.
Doesn't sound like
my
football.
description of football. We'll do an episode on that another time, but right now that's my football episode, is me punching a wall. And yeah, like I sound like Phil Swift from the goddamn Flex tape ad where he's like just jamming a knife into a bucket. It's just like, That's a lot of damage. That's what it sounded like there. But back to basketball. Yeah, basketball is a very auditory sport. And Sarah, the reason they have the buzzer is because, yeah, you described it's loud. The shoes are squeaking. You can't really hear a whistle. So they have to transcend everybody else's audio receptors by just hitting a button that's got a buzzer.
Plus, they play basketball inside, which is going to make it noisy as hell. Why do they play basketball
there's
inside?
Also that. They play basketball inside because it was designed that way. It was designed supposed to be, it would say, hey, we want to play a sport indoors in the winter. We don't want it to be a full contact sport because we're playing in a gymnasium. And so we can't play rugby because everybody will hit their heads too hard.
Yeah.
And so
I ever tell you about the one summer my parents got really into rugby? That's pretty much all you need to know about this. Yeah, like my parents got super into watching rugby a couple summers ago. Like really into it, and then I don't think they do it anymore.
That's weird, but that's kind of cool, honestly.
Because they got Amazon Prime Video. We're not sponsored, but if you want to give us money, Jeff, we'll sell out.
Yo, Jeff, give us some fun.
For you, Daddy Bays, I'll sell out.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna end that conversation on Daddy Bays, and get into the history of the sport of basketball.
Like Lex Luthor. Anyway, yeah, talk.
And we're gonna start with one of my favorite nuggets of basketball history, which was that the last all-white championship team came in 1959.
Yo, hell yeah, that's really good.
Everyone after that had black guys. Every one of them after that had black guys.
Are there any teams you can think of that are all black guys? Might be a weird thing to ask, but just
it's a weird thing to just specifically come up with, especially because a lot of the current white guys in the league, and especially during the times I'm thinking about right now, it seems as if like you get all of the mid-range, these 6' to 6'8" are all black guys, and then taller than that, you end up with like all the Scandinavian white dudes that are 7 feet tall, and they're only in the league because they're 7 feet tall. There was a segment on a radio show around here in Philly called "Who's Stealing Money in the NBA?" And it was a reference to a guy named John Koncak who got a massive contract despite not being able to play basketball very well in the mid-'80s because he was 7'1". And so then ever since, that's been a running joke in my house where my parents would just be like would watch a guy on the Sixers throw up a brick and just be like, who's stealing money in the NBA? This guy. But that was the thing, was like if you were tall, people thought you were valuable. There's a lot of guys I can think of off the top of my head that sucked, but were 7'1" and up.
Really?
And therefore they were in the league. Matt Geiger,
what's
Tom
the tallest
McCallum,
guys you get in basketball? Like, what's the tallest guy you can think of?
The tallest guy in basketball history, it's tied with a couple people, but right now, like the tallest, mostly because he looks the tallest, because he also weighed 200 pounds. Manute Bol, who was 7'7".
What's his name?
And oh my God, I can talk about stories about Manute Bol, like MANUTE space BOL.
Can I ask you a sports question? It's not about basketball necessarily. So I've tried to read The Blind Side a couple times, and each time I kind of do it. It's like kind of pulling teeth. Michael Oher, or however you pronounce
Michael
it.
Oher, yeah.
Michael Oher. Is he like really like as good of a sports guy as they make him out to be in the book? Or
Michael Oher, he was a Pro Bowl guard and all that. He played for a while. He was good. Okay. He was as good as advertised, yes.
Because in the book, everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're so good at sporting." And
because when you're in high school and college, you get any NFL player, if you go back to high school, was the best player in the area.
Huh.
That's just how it was. That's how it is.
Okay.
There's one NFL player that I ended up coming into contact with, DeAndre Swift, who was so much better than everybody else that I knew that it felt unfair playing against him.
Huh. Because I remember reading the book, I'm like, okay, he cannot be like that.
No. In high school, everybody's that good.
Okay. Huh. Interesting.
All right, back to basketball. Good question.
Back to basketball.
I appreciate the facilitation of conversation. We're getting to we haven't even gotten into the 1960s yet. But the 1960s grew the rise of the two titans, as I like to call them.
The Beatles and Jefferson Airplane.
Bang, exactly. All right, and with the rise of Jefferson Starship grew the 1977 Star Wars Holiday Special.
You missed Coltrane.
No, they were no, they were Jefferson Starship
It's
in
the same
1978
band,
when the Holiday
but-
Special. For the Holiday Special, they were Jefferson Starship by 1978.
Yeah, we were talking about the 60s.
That was what they were. Well, I'm in the 60s right now, and let me talk about Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. Now, both of you follow me on Twitter. Evan's followed me for a little longer, so you probably have seen me tweet about Bill Russell.
Can't remember it, but I could.
Well,
definitely
I
see
have.
you doing that.
So Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain were two of the greatest big men of all time, and are still. Like, they still stack up legacy-wise to guys that play currently. Bill Russell was a freakish athlete. He was 6'10". He dunked a lot. There's a video of him jumping over a guy to do a layup after taking the ball full court. He was insane. He was a great defensive player. He didn't score the ball a lot. That wasn't his thing. He played defense, he passed, he led the team, and he played for the Boston Celtics, which, by the way, hearing a revolutionary black guy in Boston, you don't see a lot of that. The Red Sox didn't have a black guy until like the 80s. Boston was...
Call attention to... I just have to call attention to historical accuracy and say that it's actually the Celtics.
I know, but we've distanced ourselves.
Do they say
so
it the Celtics?
Far. They've been saying it the Celtics for so long. That's how it is. It's distanced itself so far that when you say Celtics, you mean the basketball team.
Not to sound like one of those Twitter fucks, but like,
fuck if I know why.
I wish that they would use the Roman pronunciation of it.
Yeah, I know. I like it too, but it's just at this point when you say Celtics, you mean basketball team. When you say Celtics, you mean Celtic people. Like, it's the same thing with, once again, that's the same thing that I believe happened with the Washington Redskins, where eventually people just, when you think Redskin, they're now the Washington football team, which, by the way, they should have changed it in like the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't get
and
why.
Still,
now
Redskin is still a slur. I just want to make that clear for all the listeners.
But it became
Redskins, not Keno.
Not okay. Sarah, can you also voice your disapproval of the word Redskin?
Yeah. Racism is bad. Slurs are bad.
Racial slurs bad.
Racial slurs bad. But the thing is, it was so distant where if you asked the average American, you picked up a random guy and were like, yo, what's...
He's like, yo, what is a Redskin?
What are
he's like, oh, Washington.
Washington football team. You think of like those guys. And basically that's how it was. But the Celtics in the 60s were insane. Bill Russell, in 13 years of being in the NBA, won 11 championships.
Goddamn.
And that is as insane as it sounds.
Which years did he lose? Like first two, last two?
He lost his rookie year. No, I think it was his second year or third year in the league.
Okay.
And then he lost in 1967 to the other guy I'm about to tell you about, who has even crazier stories and is even crazier of an athlete, but was a worse, intangibles guy, Wilt Chamberlain. Now, there are a lot of stories about Wilt Chamberlain. Yes, you probably heard some of the stories. I choose to believe, I've read the man's biography, and I've also read the man's autobiography. There's a lot of overlap, and sometimes there's not. But I choose to believe most of the stories about Wilt are true. Wilt,
are they good stories, or is this
No, they are almost all completely insanely good stories to the point where you are like, is this a real person?
Okay, I don't mean good entertaining. I mean good. Is this the guy from Whiplash, or is this?
No. This is Wilt was the fastest guy on his team when he was 38 years old, and he was 7'1". Wilt claims to have slept with 20,000 women by the time he was roughly 40-something. And I only feel like he's slightly exaggerating because his publicist was he's exaggerating, but he also, there are a lot of pictures of Wilt with, for some reason, an entire women's beach volleyball team. There's 3 different pictures of that with 3 different beach volleyball teams.
Yeah, but 20,000 is a lot of people.
Yeah, I know, that's crazy. Somebody crunched the numbers. It would have to be roughly 2 sexual partners a day from every day since he was 16 years old. It's a little ridiculous. Based off of when he said it.
Even to have a body count of 1,000 would still be whoa.
Now that actually does sound reasonable if you crunch the numbers. Wilt was just a very dashing 7'1" freak of nature. So the average amount of points in a basketball game scored is roughly around 100. Just like roughly. Like if you had to like just throw a random number out there, if somebody asked me about how many points scored in a basketball game by each team, probably I'd say 100.
Oh, I'm looking at a picture of Wilt Chamberlain right now, and
dashing man, I'd say.
I suddenly doubt the 20,000 a lot less.
Yeah, precisely.
I'll look him up too.
He looks
Look
like
him up, Sarah.
He sort of looks like a porn parody version of Lando Calrissian.
I was going to say the Lando thing, but I wasn't. I didn't know if anyone else was going to agree with me. Sarah, what do you think of Wilt?
Short shorts.
Yeah, we're looking at the same picture, aren't we? It's him in the Harlem Globetrotters uniform. Oh yeah,
short shorts. Yeah, dude, that's what everybody wore back in the day. You can look at until like the early 2000s. The short shorts were what people wore. And for 1 year playing CYO basketball, I had to wear them, and they're very uncomfortable. I don't know how people did it for so long. But Wilt, so around average 100 points per game for a whole team. Wilt averaged 50 points per game in a season once. Most NBA players do not score 50 points in one game for their whole career. Wilt, on average, for an entire 82-game season, scored 50 points a game. That is insane. Like, that is one of the craziest stats in any sport ever. He averaged more than 40 for most of his career. He unfortunately passed away, I believe, in 2001.
No, that sucks.
Dang.
But when he was old, when he was like 50-something in the 70s, which we're going to get to now that I can get past this.
Hold up. He was old in 2001. Then.
In the 70s or so, he was older, like he was like in his like late 40s. He was coaching a team in the ABA, which I'll get to the ABA in just a moment. And a ball got stuck. Like, you ever like been in like an older gym and they've got like the wires that hooks the basket to the ceiling?
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so a ball got stuck in there, and it's like above the backboard. And old guy Wilt jumps up and grabs it with no problem in a suit. Apparently, in the 80s, the New York Knicks, were asking him to come out of retirement because he was still in shape. In the 1980s, this man retired in 1972 and was like 34, 5, or 6 then, with like 70s technology, where if you played for 10 years, you were like the oldest guy in the league. Because smoked before the game and shit. So Wilt was a freak, but not a good teammate.
Greatest player ever lived, kind of thing.
No, because he was one of the worst teammates ever. He was on the Sixers for a while, and then they won a championship in 1967, one of the years they beat Russell. Remember, Russell has 11 championships. Wilt has 2.
Russell goated, yeah.
One of them came after Russell retired. So, but the thing is that Wilt, they were like, okay, look, we're thinking about trading Wilt. The whole team is Wilt now. We have other good players. To take a team vote, who wants to trade Wilt? Every player raised their hand. Wilt was averaging 40-something a game, and they were like, yeah, let's get he sucks this bad. He lived in New York and refused to move to Philadelphia for practice and would take the train every morning.
Wow.
Because he didn't want to move. Because he's a dick. This is why Wilt isn't considered the unanimous greatest player of all time, because he ruined the team he was on in search of statistical gain. So now we move to the 70s, which was the Dark Ages. And here's because the most remarkable players in the league: Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West. Jerry West did the logo of the NBA. That one, the guy doing the weird dribble move. That's Jerry West. They call him the logo. He was clutch. He played with Wilt in that late 70s championship when he was in Los Angeles playing with the Lakers. Which, if you're going to ask why the Los Angeles Lakers are called the Los Angeles Lakers, because I understand that is a weird thing, because there are not lakes in Los Angeles. They were originally the Minneapolis Lakers, and there's a lot of lakes up there.
I think I actually did know
I feel like I should clear the air on that. So,
thank you.
Get to the 70s. 70s, actually, I have the most notes on the 70s, even though I'm not going to talk about it too much. 70s. Okay, in the 60s and all, you've seen a basketball court. You know that there's an arc around the top, where behind it's a 3-point line. You know that exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we have that cognizant. That didn't exist in the NBA originally. James Naismith didn't write a 3-point line in. In the 70s, the NBA was having some issues drawing fans. And so a competing league started called the ABA, which very, very ingenious that both when the National Basketball Association and the National Football League were both experiencing troubles in the 60s and 70s, the American Football League and the American Basketball Association both came up. They were just like, hey, in the 60s, the NFL had a competing league called the AFL, and now in the 70s, the NBA has a competing league called the ABA.
You were telling us about this in the Ghost episode.
What?
You were telling us about this in the Ghost episode.
Yeah, the Ghost football episode.
Negative first episode. Or at least someday.
Well, maybe. Probably not, because it sucked. I'll probably be redoing it with
fine.
better things.
It's
no,
fine.
I listened to it last night. It's bad.
But first try.
No, it's fine for... Yeah,
or at least it like in a year or something. I'll be like, look at how bad this is. Like,
oh, yeah, look at how much better everything is. But the ABA played a more freewheeling style of basketball, and they were headlined by their number one player, Julius Erving. Dr. J.
I've heard that.
You guys are... Dr. J, big old afro, dunked like a crazy man. But one of the other things the ABA introduced was the three-point line. And the NBA is like, ooh, you guys are cool. We don't have anybody. Nobody's watching us. Do you want to come over and do stuff? And so the ABA and the NBA merged. And a couple years later, the three-point line was then introduced to
NBA is for me.
NBA assimilates. But they brought in a couple teams, including... But the thing is, they brought in the teams, but they didn't keep the teams. So the Sixers were in the NBA, Dr. J was in the ABA, then they had a redraft, and we got Dr. J, the Sixers did.
Woohoo!
And we won a title with him, so hell yeah. I have a Dr. J Sixers jersey upstairs.
Cool.
So now, the three-point shot was implemented, and in 1981, the leader for a season made 57 of them at a 33.7% rate, which is actually not bad.
Okay.
The league average is about you make 1 out of 3 threes. So, now. So, in 1981, that's not bad. Now we get to the 80s. The 80s was a resurgence of basketball due to yet another 2 guys that played for the Celtics and the Lakers, even though Wilt played for the Lakers at the end of his career. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Now, you guys probably know who Magic Johnson is for one reason. Do you know the name Magic Johnson?
I know, yeah. I don't know anything about him, but I know...
Well, it's probably because late in his career, he got AIDS.
Oh.
So he's gay?
No.
Oh.
AIDS doesn't only travel.
I know. I'm not saying it does. I'm just... Back then, that was kind of one of the more...
Back then, that was one of the rumors. Yeah, that was one of the rumors, but no.
They used to call it grid.
We don't know.
You know that? I learned from Stephen King. Which means it may not be true, the more I think about it. In the books, one of these characters mentioned that they used to call it gay-related immune disease. I don't know if that's true, but that sounds like it could be true, right?
That does sound like it could be true, yeah. But we got Magic and Bird, who, by the way, I'd like the both of you to go look up what Magic Johnson looks like, because that's another dashing gentleman. Larry Bird, significantly less dashing. Magic was the charismatic starting point guard for the Lakers. They ran they called the Showtime Lakers. They were crazy. They ran fast. Magic was throwing flashy passes, and then Larry Bird was the dependable small forward of the Celtics. White as the day is long, and a nice old blonde afro perm that's very 80s, and just shot the lights out, and also passed like crazy. But they were the resurgence of the NBA, right in time for the 1984 NBA draft, where a certain guy got drafted who you guys probably know. Mr. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. So MJ got drafted. He was around in the late 80s. Just kind of everyone was like, yo, this kid's the future. But the team he was on, Chicago Bulls at the time, sucked. So everybody in the NBA was like, ooh, I like this guy.
So what I'm hearing is the NBA was kind of vibing. And Michael Jordan said, stop it, get some help.
Magic and Bird were vibing, and so is Isaiah Thomas.
That is him, right?
You only made a fool out of yourself by saying Michael Johnson.
Yes, okay, thank God. I'm if that's not him, I'm going to need you to cut that off.
No. That's MJ. You're right. The weird commercial with the McDonald's. So Jordan got drafted, and in the 90s,
that's a fucking McDonald's commercial.
That was a McDonald's commercial about not doing drugs. Look it up. Me and McDonald's are here to say something. To say about what we really care about: family, and that's just telling kids not to do drugs.
Can't believe you just recited a McDonald's commercial.
Why wouldn't I know that? Why wouldn't I know a random obscure McDonald's commercial that featured Michael Jordan saying, "Stop it"?
From MJ to the Krabby Patty, will their innovation ever cease? My brother called it the Krabby Patty. I almost lost
it. That's great. That is great. I love that.
Have y'all had the Travis Scott meal yet?
I have not. No. And I've been tempted to because it's only $6.
There's a McDonald's not paid for right McDonald's. Near the building.
I know, but
I was gonna say, you want to during Ramadan or something? Gone there? You guys want to go out and get Travis Scott? Because it's McDonald's.
Well, no, I'm not going there because.
All the more reason to go there. You're gonna need to book the name. Oh fuck! It's midnight.
Yeah, your Sufjan Stevens is out, but you're gonna be on the
slippers are about to. No, I got a fucking YouTube notification. It's like, hey, bitch, The Ascension by Sufjan Stevens is out right now. The minute we're done here, I'm gonna just start pirating it and burning it onto a disc.
Well, good for you, my guy. Wow, that's not really sarcastic, but I meant it.
I ordered it on Amazon. Literally, the CD is coming on October 2nd.
That sounded really sarcastic, but I'm actually that's kind of cool for you, man.
Physical release doesn't come out until the 2nd.
Yeah, I get that. But so my notes...
Dude, there's new Sufjan Stevens in the world now. It's a magical moment.
So my notes for the 90s are literally only Jordan. That's all you got to talk about. And so
Radiohead, not much else.
Shut up.
You're gonna need to lick that
I'm going to lick the names, but trust me, it's why I pause before I say the names so that I know where to lick it.
That was just how you were talking.
I pause so I know when to lick it.
Devo? Really?
Or you could do the Kiss song, "Lick It Up."
No, I'm not. No. We're doing.
What is that song referring to exactly?
We're gonna find another famous jazz musician who played the lick by accident, or we're gonna do Chicory again.
No, it has to be Chicory. Please keep.
I was gonna say, is the Kiss song "Lick It Up" referencing waterbending, as it were?
No, don't make callbacks to our other episodes. We've had one.
It's a Kiss song. It's a Kiss song that says, "I want to kiss your lips, not the ones on your face."
What? Isn't Kiss like a heavy metal band?
I don't know what Kiss is. All right, I don't even know if Kiss knows what Kiss is.
Glam rock.
I used to think that Led Zeppelin was like metal-ish, but like the more I think about it, the more that view simultaneously gets affirmed and denied.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. All right, we're getting to the 90s.
Like over the hills and valleys.
I want to do the 90s. Anyway,
go on. Yeah.
We'll talk about Jordan because there's actually something interesting.
I was born in the 90s.
Well, congratulations. Wow, that was really sarcastic too. But no. So 90s come around, and Jordan starts his reign of terror because he actually gets a good team around him, and so he starts playing out of his damn mind.
He got some help.
He got help. The cavalry arrived in the form of Scottie Pippen and Ron Harper, I guess. Yeah, Ron Harper. Ron Harper was pretty good.
Names I do not know, but
Scottie Pippen is the subject of one of the funniest commercials ever because Scottie Pippen played for the Chicago Bulls with Jordan. Now, there was a commercial a couple years ago.
Scottie Pippen sounds like a member of the Fellowship of the Ring.
That is a take I've never heard once in my life.
Am I wrong?
Not really.
No, you're not.
It's kind of sad. I just finished my glass of milk.
Sam, Frodo, Merry, Scottie Pippen. Like,
now imagine because like all of them are like tiny, and then there's 6'7" Scottie Pippen. It's just
he's dressed in Pippen's clothes and they don't fit. They look like shorts. He's wearing Hobbit clothes.
And they got like a little hat on him. He's just like, I'm ready to go. No, but the commercial is.
Yes,
it was like I forget. I think it was an Adidas commercial, but it's one of those ones that it's like, here's a comedy sketch, and then I'm going to put an ad at the end of it. And so one of them was like current NBA player James Harden. He's the guy with the giant beard, talking to Charles Barkley, who played in the league for a while and was known as the Round Mound of Rebound, which is a hilarious nickname because he was like 6'5".
He was known as the what?
The Round Mound of Rebound.
That's cool.
But it's because he was a short, kind of fat guy.
I don't even like sports. That's cool.
He was a kind of short, fat guy who got a lot of rebounds. Which, by the way, okay, I realize I probably should clarify just a couple things so that I can start, when I reference them, you can understand. A rebound is when you miss a shot, ball comes off the rim, and you grab it. An important stat because it's like, it changes a possession. If you get offensive rebounds, like your guy misses it and you get it back, then it's like a whole other possession. It's a really important thing. And assists are you pass it to somebody and then they make a shot. Just getting the baseline out of the way so that when I'm referencing these stats later, you understand. Okay, so, but now we're going to back to this commercial. James Harden's talking to Charles Barkley, and James Harden's like, what is your secret? What made you so good? And he's just like, all the greats have short memories. I never had a bad game. It's like, yes, you did. You had this game. It's like, I forgot. And just everybody knows. Ask Scottie Pippen. And it cuts to Scottie Pippen. He goes, yep, and I'm the greatest Chicago Bull of all time. And he just deadpans it. It's like, the joke, of course, being he played with Jordan, who was the best ever. And on the Chicago Bulls with him. Yes. But the way he says it, he's like, yep, and I'm the greatest Chicago Bull of all time. Like, you can practically hear like the thumbs up in his face, in his voice, like the sarcastic thumbs up. It's great. I love it.
That's some Starship Troopers shit. Just like neither of you have ever watched Starship Troopers?
No, I've never watched Starship Troopers. Do an episode of Starship Troopers. That'd be fun.
Starship Troopers. I don't want to talk about Robert Heinlein because he was kind of a shitbag.
I mean, I guess Michael Jordan was kind of a shitbag, but I'm talking a lot about him. And I'll get into why he's a shitbag.
Robert Heinlein.
Well, not really.
Yes.
He wasn't like a transphobic or...
That could be an episode, like science fiction authors whose books I like but are actually terrible people. Heinlein, Orson Scott Card.
Oh, Orson Scott Card, yeah, he was a shitbag.
Fuck Orson Scott Card.
God,
I do want to talk about Ender's Game.
So bad. Yeah, Ender's Game was one of my favorite books.
I love Ender's Game. But, dude, that entire series is so good.
I know it is. I'm talking about basketball, sir.
Yeah.
So, Jordan won 3 championships back-to-back. Jordan and the Bulls won 3 championships back-to-back from 1991 to 1993. Had a great moment in the 91 finals when he got there, and they were like, all right. The media was all like, they're gonna make Jordan shoot threes, and then because he can't shoot those. And then the coach of the Trailblazers they were playing against were like, yep, we're going to make him shoot threes because he can't shoot those. And then he comes out in the first half of the first game of the finals and hits 6 threes, like right in a row, and just shrugs at everybody like, ah! All-time great moment right there. He just kind of walked up. I was like, you fucking thought, dude. I'm just going to start raining these bitches. But then so he won 3 in a row, and then he retired out of nowhere to go play baseball.
Wait, really? He didn't play for that long?
No, listen, no. He drafted in 1984, and then it would have been a 9-year career. But listen, let me talk.
Okay.
So he retired to play baseball, and he went for about 1.5 years. He was out of the league, and then he was back. Near the end of the 1995 season, he didn't really play that well because he kind of just came out of retirement. But there's a major conspiracy theory going around, one of the few that I believe, that Jordan was banned for the league because he gambled like a motherfucker. Because he did. Like crazy.
He bet on himself?
Well, we're not sure the specifics because he wasn't. That was never official. But with the shady dealings sometimes of NBA Commissioner David Stern, may he rest in peace. He just recently passed away, I believe in 2020. There's like an idea that Jordan was suspended for gambling like fucking crazy, and so then he took 1.5 years off to play baseball, where he wasn't actually terrible. He wasn't very good, but he wasn't very bad. He was a middle-of-the-road baseball player. Also,
where did he play?
Well, he played for the Chicago White Sox. Chicago. So he then he comes back and he loses in the playoffs in his first half of the year that he's back, and then the next year they go on to set the wins record. They go 72-10. Jordan plays like a madman. They roll through the finals, and then they win 2 more after that. So they win 3 in a row again. And he ends his career in 1998. This beautiful crossover hits the shot that people still call it the shot. If you got the blank, then obviously it was a good thing.
Yes.
And especially in basketball, when everybody shoots all the time, if you manage to get a shot that was so great that they call it the shot, probably pretty good. And then he ruined it a couple years later because he came back because he was in the front office of the Wizards and was like, hey, I'm going to go play because I'm tired of this team sucking, so I'm going to go play. He played for like 3 years on the Wizards, was still pretty good, and then retired again. But everyone in the basketball world chooses to forget about that because it's way cooler that he retires after winning a championship after hitting one of the greatest shots in history. Way cooler.
Now, what's so great about the shot?
It was Game 6 of the NBA Finals, which means that like you lose that game, you go to a Game 7, and it was on Utah. They're playing against the Utah Jazz on their home court. And he was like, so this was essentially like, if you lose this game, there's a good chance you lose the next one. So,
okay.
They're down by 1. Jordan gets the ball, hits this shot after crossing Studa, bang. They're up with like 3 seconds left. The Jazz lose. The Bulls win the finals, and then he retires. The last shot he ever hit was a game winner to win the finals. It's like every little kid's dream.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And then he ruined it by coming back a couple years later with the it's like if like a show has a perfect ending of like on a nice like perfect season ending where it wraps up all the plot lines and everything, and then they have one more season that sucks. That's what Jordan did.
Whole lot of people would make a Legend of Korra reference.
I was contempted to, but then I remembered you really like Korra, and I've never seen either show, so I can't comment on it. So now we're going to get to modern times. We're going to skip over the 2000s mostly, except for the 2004 NBA draft. Because at this point in time, in 2004, Jordan's considered the greatest player of all time. He won 6 championships, was the leader on all the teams, was doing stuff that no one else could do. He was a shooting guard, by the way. He wasn't a big man. He was a shooting guard. He was 6'6", which is not big by NBA standards. He was just a freakish athlete, dunked like crazy, dunked from the free throw line and all that sort of stuff. Which, by the way, if you've ever tried to jump, period, you can understand how hard that is. I recommend if you're listening to this, go outside to wherever your closest basketball court is, go to the free throw line and jump as far forward as you can and see how far you can get. And then imagine that somebody jumped from that line and managed to elevate enough to do like a cool trick in the air and then dunk a basketball with another couple feet to spare. It's insane. But now we're getting to modern times because in 2004, a player was drafted that you guys probably know as well. His name is LeBron James. So at this point in time, you guys know, oh my God, we're finally people that you know about.
LeBron James.
I mean, I know nothing about it.
Damn it, Sarah.
I don't know what he did.
Sarah referenced the Vine. Good reference, Sarah.
Long live Vine.
Long live Vine. Long live Vine. Rip 5 ever in our hearts.
I was never a Vine kid.
I was a Vine kid. I never posted anything, but I was on the app.
Good.
But so Jordan,
my sister was in the Vine.
Jordan's considered the greatest of all time, and then everyone's like, "Ooh, this LeBron kid's probably pretty good." He was in high school, and they nicknamed him the Chosen One. Like, dude, that's a hell of a burden. We were in high school not that long ago. Imagine if somebody was like, "Evan, you're a trombone player. You're the Chosen One. You're gonna be the next greatest trombone player to ever exist."
Fuck.
Sarah, you're the Chosen One. How does it feel?
Oh, stop it. Oh, stop
Exactly.
it.
But LeBron took that and then went in the league.
I'd be like, fuck that. I'm going to go out into the woods and write a book.
See, Now that,
if you're telling me I'm the Avatar, I'm going to be Henry David Thoreau.
Exactly. So, but LeBron came to the league and almost exceeded expectations. Played like a crazy madman. He is probably the most entertaining basketball player I've ever seen in my life because he's just so athletic. He does whatever he wants.
Okay.
And he's also super smart. And so it's like this sort of thing where he'll run at you. They're one of my favorite plays of all time. He's standing like where the free throw line is. You take like a step to the left. He got the ball. Guys like on his face. He goes to the right. He takes one dribble and then he rises up. And it looks like he had like a full court running start. And the other guy was standing in place with how fast he got off the ground. And he just dunked all over his head. LeBron when he was younger, was a crazy athlete. This was when he was on the Cleveland Cavaliers, which Evan is the only person I've ever met who thinks Cleveland is a good place.
I like Cleveland.
Why?
Don't you know the song? It goes Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. Don't you know
No, I
that song?
don't. No, I don't know that song because it's
No.
wrong. Cleveland sucks.
Cleveland rocks.
Why? Wait, Sarah. What song? Wait, what? Can you provide any explanation for that?
I'm gonna look. I can't remember who sang it. Hold on.
On like the rankings of cities I've been to, Cleveland's like in the top 10.
I mean, it's competing with
Cleveland's better
Dubai,
than,
so I can't imagine it's too high.
Yeah,
No,
Dubai's
the song "Cleveland Rocks" is a song by the Presidents of the United States of America. That's the band name.
What?
Yeah.
What?
That's what it says. I just looked it up on Google.
I'm not gonna use the lo-fi. I'm not gonna use the lo-fi I made. I'm just gonna put Cleveland Rocks at the end of this.
It's like it starts with it goes like 3, 4, and then the guitars go like da na na na. I remember this song so vividly.
Is this gonna be your outro song, Sarah, for your episode?
Oh no! Oh no! Cleveland was the place where rock and roll started.
I guess, but like
Cleveland Rocks. I mean, okay, yeah, sure. Sort of.
It's like that was the guy
on
where
that,
on the radio when they first mentioned the term rock and roll, like on the radio.
Okay, well, did you know the Rock Hall of Fame is like there's an XM broadcasting station at the Rock Hall of Fame, and they broadcast from there.
Oh.
I saw them do it when I was there. Like they have the DJs in like these glass booths, and they just haven't. Like I saw, I think it was Jenny Ellisque, if you know her from XM. I think I saw her broadcasting from the Rock Hall. I'm not sure about that. If she's hearing this, she's not going to hear this. If she's hearing this, she always does good shows, but I don't know if that's true, but I think it is. This was a couple years ago. You know what was the worst place I ever visited? Deadwood, South Dakota. Fucking hated that cowboy town. Bad vibes.
Also extremely specific. You guys have very specific memories of songs called Cleveland Rocks and random places in South Dakota. But this is actually a really funny segue because LeBron played his career in the beginning of his career in Cleveland. Now, a lot of NBA legends played in one city for their whole career. Like Magic was on the Lakers for his whole career. Larry Bird played in Boston his whole career. Michael Jordan played in Chicago for all of the career that mattered. Bill Russell played for...
Does the NBA not really trade around as much as like football?
Oh, no, they trade around a lot. But if you're like a really great player, you don't leave. People come to you.
Huh.
So...
Okay.
It's kind of a thing. It's like if you're a really great player, you don't abandon your city. Especially because LeBron's hometown is Akron, real close. So like he's like homegrown talent. Oh, he's gonna stay in Cleveland. He's gonna be a Cleveland lifer. And then in 2010, The Decision happened, which is a TV special in which LeBron went on TV. He was a free agent.
Capital T, capital D. I can hear.
Yep, The Decision went on TV. Had a whole special at the Boys and Girls Club in Cleveland and said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach and joining the Miami Heat. He had a TV special to break Cleveland's heart. Because he didn't win a championship in Cleveland the first time around because his team sucked so bad that he couldn't do it if he tried. Trust me. He tried. It didn't happen. And so he left.
The city of Cleveland,
so Sarah, he does not think Cleveland rocks.
Fucking rail.
He does not think Cleveland rocks. I know that's sad for you to hear, but he did not think Cleveland rocked. So he went to Miami.
Whatever.
I went to Miami, and he won 2 championships down there. And then, in 2015, he was like, you know what? I won my championships. I'm coming home. You guys have good young talent. I'm going back to Cleveland. And then we're going to get to where we're currently at with the NBA, because it's in a weird state right now because of the rise of one light-skinned point guard named Steph Curry. You guys heard of him?
Don't know his name.
All right, so Steph
heard
Curry
of him.
is not particularly athletic. Steph Curry is not a particularly good passer or finisher around the rim. He's a kind of small guy. He's not really physically imposing. He's a good to great ball handler, but that's not really his main strength. Steph Curry doesn't miss. He just is an insanely good shooter. So good.
Enemy spotted, as it were.
What? No, as it were, yes.
And he's kind of like he's the Hawkeye in Fullmetal Alchemist. That's my quota. I'm done. I'm fucking done. That's my Fullmetal Alchemist reference quota per episode.
Good, thank you. You have reached your quota. But
that's a weak reference too. Like I got enough.
Yeah, come on, you can do better next time. Whatever the hell Sarah's episode is, because she won't tell us.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna get on there. She's gonna be like, "So tonight we're talking about Cowboy Bebop." We'll be like, "You bitch."
I won't be prepared. Well, no.
Yeah, because you're a slacker.
Shut up.
Because then you should probably cut this part out because it's not really relevant.
All right,
okay, so I do actually have a question about basketball.
Well, I'm almost done my LeBron talk. I'm almost done my
yes,
LeBron
talk about,
Curry talk.
Sorry.
So we're going to get to that
Curry
first, and then I was going to take more questions. So Steph Curry, swirly looking.
He don't miss.
He don't miss. And he shoots from ridiculous distances. You try and shoot a basketball from 40 feet away from the basket, and you see if he even gets there. Steph Curry shoots like that while running around NBA defenses. And it's like, I'm going to throw this shot up. Boom, it goes in. So remember I talked about the three-point leader in 1981. He made 57 threes in a season at a 33.7% rate. Now, let's check back in. We're in 2016. Steph Curry, in 2016, made 402 three-pointers at a 45.3% clip.
Those are some big numbers.
Some big boy numbers. Steph Curry is insane. That season was ridiculous to watch. And so now the league is way more focused on three-pointers. And mostly because the Warriors in 2016 broke the NBA record for most wins in a season. They went 73-9. Using the Sarah.
7. What? Hold up. What the fuck?
What?
You said it, and I'm like, okay, those are numbers. And I actually thought about what you just said.
73 wins, 9 losses.
Holy fuck. Holy shit. Dumba.
Yeah, it's insane.
I'm gonna be like, can you not say Dumba?
That is a Sarah-ism, and we are both proud that Evan is
spreading.
It's
save the women and children. That's right, we can use them as shields.
Jesus Christ, that's some Paul Redeker shit. That's some Paul Redeker shit.
That's what Sword Art Online abridged.
World War Z, anyone? No World War Z?
I think I made a better reference.
No, my reference was good.
I know you talked to me about it yesterday.
Yeah, I told Sarah about World War Z yesterday.
When did World War Z come out?
World War Z, the book, a while ago.
No, movie.
The movie sucked.
Yeah.
The movie was only good for the one scene with the zombie pyramid.
2013.
But I'm getting back. Trust me. There's actually a resolution that is like a storybook resolution for this story I'm telling. So the Warriors, they steamroll everybody, and then they get to the NBA Finals, and they're faced off against LeBron James and his hometown Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron's got a good team around him. Steph Curry and the Warriors are arguably the greatest team of all time. The Warriors is a series to 7. The Warriors win game 1, the Cavs win game 2, and the Warriors win games 3 and 4 to take a 3-1 lead. That's pretty much insurmountable when you get a 7-game series because that means the other team has to win 3 straight. You can tell where I'm taking this. The Cavaliers won 3 straight games, including some of the best basketball ever played by LeBron, and had a play in game 7 where it looked like there was nobody around to block this one shot on a fast break where like nobody's there. Pass this to Andre Iguodala, and it's like, oh, he gets past the one guy, and he goes up for a layup, and LeBron comes flying in like a terrifying heat-seeking missile in a black Cavaliers jersey and blocks the shit out of him with like 40 seconds left, and then his co-star hits a 3, and they win, and LeBron finally brought a championship to Cleveland. And that's where we're ending our story, because right now we're at a weird point in the NBA with this lockdown. LeBron is now in Los Angeles. He's on the Lakers now. We also missed Kobe entirely. I probably should mention him.
I was going to ask about him because
Kobe Bryant came up in the 2000s.
Kobe went Kobe recently. Like,
so
How does he fit into all of this?
His
I mean,
legacy-
and maybe you're going to be like, in the grand scheme of things, he wasn't like that good.
No,
but like,
he
I don't know.
was.
He's one of the
Now,
names I know.
I realized
Okay.
it's because I for time's sake, I skipped over the 2000s, but I realized I could get into this. The late 90s, a guy got drafted by the name of Shaquille O'Neal. Big old boy. Big old Shaq.
Shaq!
Shaq.
Oh my god! Have you guys had the
Icy hot
Shaq-a-roni
man.
pizza from Papa John's?
The what?
What about Papa John's?
Papa John's had this pizza over the summer called the Shaq-a-roni.
The fucking
The
what?
fucking what?
Shakaroni.
I got it at the beach. Oh my god, it was a pizza.
That sounds like a
It was
JoJo
just
stand.
covered in a shit ton of pepperoni.
That's
It was called the Shaq-a-roni, and it came on in a box that had his
a
face
Shaq
on
ton
it.
of pepperoni, Sarah.
oh my god. Evan, leave. Go home. You're already home. Go farther home.
Shaq-a-roni.
But okay, so we're gonna get back into Shaq because Shaq got drafted by the Orlando Magic, and then they stupidly decided we're not gonna pay you a lot, so you're gonna go somewhere else, I guess. And in free agency, Shaq signs with the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers then a year later draft Kobe Bryant, this kid out of Lower Merion, high schooler, and Jerry
Wait,
West.
what? Lower Merion, like
Yeah, the Lower Merion,
Like
real
close to here?
Yeah, that one.
really?
Lower Merion, 20 minutes from my
Whoa.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, Lower
Cool.
Merion will not let you forget Kobe went there. I went there a couple years ago, and
I
the
cannot imagine
entire
that they would.
walls of the entire place were just coated in, hey, Kobe Bryant exists. And I didn't mind. I was there for robotics. I was there for nerd shit anyway. So I nerded out about
I imagine their basketball program is incredibly proud of it.
their basketball program is incredibly proud of it. The basketball program's not incredibly good. They just kind of got lucky that Kobe went there. But
Yeah,
we'll get back to
that's how public school.
Go back to the story here. Shaq and Kobe. Shaq was a legend. Kobe's a legend. You put those two together, you're supposed to get like insane things, right? They were
Yes.
insane. They won. They three-peated, and which is 3 straight championships. And then they started feuding because of this. I've heard this analogy used. I'm gonna ask Evan if this is accurate because Shaq and Kobe were two
Kobe
alphas.
wanted the icy hot deal. Shaq got the icy hot
No,
deal.
the ICI deal was after he
Yeah.
retired. It was you can't have two alphas on the same team. I've heard the analogy as to Lennon and McCartney. How is that? How much does that? Is that kind of how that was, Evan? Like the two alphas? He's the Beatles guy here.
I don't know. Lennon and McCartney got along all right until they didn't.
Well,
John Lennon was a massive piece of shit egotist. At one point,
so were both Shaq and
he was
Kobe.
like At one point, Lennon was like, "You know what? Fuck it. The Beatles are over. I founded the Beatles. I can shut them down." And Paul McCartney was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? We've been doing this for 10 years,
Jesus
bro."
Christ, dude. All right, so yeah, that sucks. Well, Shaq and Kobe felt like that. Because Shaq
Okay.
was like, either you trade me or I'm not playing next to this motherfucker. And Kobe said the same thing. So they traded Shaq to Miami.
Oh.
Really, Shaq just played in warm climates for the beginning of his career. Orlando, Los Angeles, Miami. Like, damn, I did not realize exactly how... And then he went to Phoenix after that. Jesus, Shaq was warm. Shaq was warm for a while. But then Kobe...
That's what happens when you use icy hot. I know almost nothing about Shaq. So all my jokes about Shaq.
Oh, Shaq just for Icy Hot. I love
like
it.
Shaq Fu and the fact that he like stalks for icy hot
What
now.
about Kazam? Didn't we get any Kazam jokes?
I don't know what the fuck Kazam is.
It was a movie where he was a genie. He rapped.
Oh yeah,
Like I make Kazam jokes.
forgot about that.
But yeah, so
No, I
Shaq and
don't.
Kobe,
I've never
they
seen
split
it.
up, and Kobe patterned his game off of Michael Jordan, which is to say, Kobe completely copied Michael Jordan in every way. There's a video where they literally they intercut Kobe and Michael footage, and you cannot if they switched the jerseys, you wouldn't be able to tell which is which. It's the same moves. He copied my whole fucking flow, word for word, bar for bar. Jordan at Kobe, but
Yes.
Kobe dealt with a lot of stuff in his career. There's still that really hazy rape allegation from 2004, the season right before Shaq and Kobe
The
split
what?
up. A very hazy rape allegation that was settled out of court and was never proven, and so we have no idea what the fuck happened.
Okay.
A very weird thing.
I feel like
Yeah.
I was gonna say I feel like we might not want to go too far into this.
I wasn't going to. I was really just going to say that's a thing that happened
Okay, cool. Yeah.
because I don't know
Well,
too
it's not
much
cool,
about the
but
situation.
okay.
It's not cool, but it's a thing
Yeah.
that happened. And then Kobe spent most of his career languishing, essentially. Like, he was really, really good, and the Lakers sucked. And then eventually he got good guys, good players next to him, and he won 2 championships. And as he went on his career, he garnered the reputation of a leader and of a good guy, but also like.
So Kobe was like goat.
Well, Kobe wasn't as good as Jordan. In my book, he's not as good as Jordan. He only won 1 MVP award.
Okay.
I wouldn't put Kobe over Jordan in my book. In my book, it's still Jordan as number 1, LeBron as number 2, and I have Bill Russell in like a spot close to that. I'm not going to go into all of NBA history right now, but Kobe then retired, and he became a family man. He has his 2 daughters.
Yes, I know daughters. He had. Well, yes,
and he really improved his reputation as just this is a good man who is a father. He makes one of my favorite quotes from him was talking about like because he had, I think he has 3 daughters now that he had 3 daughters. And somebody asked once, well, are you trying for Kobe Jr.? Are you trying to pass on your basketball playing genes? And he went, no, I'm a girl dad. I have my beautiful girls. Why would I want to try? I'm not trying to change that. I love having daughters. He's made it very clear that.
Good for him.
Yeah, and he was on his way to one of Gigi, his daughter's basketball games, and the helicopter when it crashed.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember. We were eating lunch together, and you were like, "Dude, Kobe just died," or maybe I was eating lunch. I might have been.
What I remember how it happened was, I was down in city. I was hanging out with people from Temple, and
then I was just eating by myself,
and I came back. I was on my way, and I got on the train, and I took a selfie because I had just bought a leather jacket and thought I was cool, and then realized that it rained and when it dried up, it shrunk entirely. So now it doesn't fit me at all.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking at all. It does not even get close to fitting me.
How much did you spend on that thing, if you don't mind?
$12. It was a little thrift store.
Okay.
So I don't feel bad about it. But I took that selfie, and then as I was sending it to the person I was sending it to, I got a notification that happened. And
Kobe had died. Yeah.
Kobe had died because he's somebody I looked up to because there was a couple stories. There's a story. Allen Iverson, he was a player for the Sixers, was real short and shifty. He's on the list of NBA players I'm taller than. He was listed at 6 foot, but everybody who knew him was like, he's definitely 5'10", 5'11". So he couldn't guard Iverson. Kobe couldn't guard him. Part of this is because Kobe was a young player and Iverson was a vet who knew what he was doing. But Kobe got really enthralled in needing to stop Iverson and eventually led him to researching how sharks attacked seals off the coast of Africa. Which then, the numbers say that offseason that he did that, next season he was a better defender against Iverson. The numbers back me up. He legitimately improved based off of that shit. And it's weird, but it's called the Mamba mentality. I'm sure you've probably heard of that.
I have heard of Mamba mentality, especially after he died. Yeah,
his name was the Black Mamba. Which now I have 2 stories to tell before I wrap this up and ask for questions. One of them is I had a Kobe jersey when I was little, and I wore it probably too late until middle school. And so it's 8th grade, we're playing basketball outside, and I can't miss. I'm raining shots. I have exactly 1 basketball highlight I've ever seen. Oh my goodness. I'm being really honest. I was already trying to wrap up, and then Evan put in the Discord that we're in right now. Maybe you should consider wrapping this up. It's longer than our last one. I was already considering wrapping it up. Well, I was trying to say that because
we're at an hour and 15.
I know. But I was already thinking of wrapping it up. But so I can't miss right now. I'm flaming shit. And Kobe's nickname was the Black Mamba after the snake because of how deadly it is. So I'm shooting like crazy.
Sure.
People call me Kobe. And somebody says, "Oh, the Black Mamba." Somebody else goes, "No, the White Mamba," because he's white.
Yes.
So that was my nickname going into high school. With some of my friends. That was the White Mamba. A very odd nickname that I will never let die. It's a cool-ass nickname.
That's weird.
Badass.
That's weird.
I mean, I don't know.
If
know
you're
if
gonna
it's
say
badass.
those
This is
two
fucking
things in a
weird.
sentence, order them the other way.
How many deadly snakes are you kind of named after? Probably none. Punk.
You want to know what deadly snake I got?
No. Oh. So the second story is one I was talking. I foreshadowed this to Sarah earlier, and it also kind of segues into just a nice little bit of thing for me personally. I like the WNBA. I think it's fun to watch. There's not as much pure athleticism. Like, it's not like you're not going to see anybody get dunked on or anything, which means that there's just a different style of basketball being played. It's a lot more shooting and passing and moving without the ball. It's interesting. I find it cool.
Mm-hmm.
I
found that like a lot of high schools seem to have bigger followings for their women's basketball team than they do for their men's, and that might be partially due to people being just creeps. But I choose to believe that like women's basketball games are pretty good.
And I think part of the reason is, because of the fact that, hey, men's basketball games are fun to watch because you get to watch a bunch of gigantic super athletes dunk on each other's faces. Women's basketball games will never develop into that. So in the WNBA, that style of play is still evident in high school play. And I'm speaking from kind of experience here. My little sister is currently a varsity basketball player at her high school. She's pretty good.
She is?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't remember your sister being like very tall or...
No, she's a guard. She's pretty good.
Whatever.
She's pretty good.
Okay,
she's
cool.
Very intense. But so one of the best players in the WNBA, her name's Elena Deladon. Now, my mom teaches at Drexel.
Good for you for bringing it up.
My mom teaches at Drexel. So and Drexel's main rivals in sports are Delaware. Don't know why.
Just the state.
Elena Deladon went to Delaware. And so my mom would get us tickets to go see, because Drexel's basketball team was pretty good at that point. Drexel's women's basketball team. And Elena Deladon was eating everybody for breakfast. Because in lower levels, if you're good in the WNBA, you're going to cook people in college like crazy. And so because of my older sisters, her disabilities, we sit in handicap seating. And the handicap seating isn't like true handicap seating. It's just you're on the baseline, like right underneath the basket, essentially, but move back a bunch.
All right, yeah, sure.
Because no one can get in your way because you're behind the basket. So I'm 11 at this point. I don't remember how old I was exactly, but I was a little tiny, scrawny kid. And Elena Deladon's right in front of me. She's 6'5", which that's all my dad is. So she goes to the basket. She throws up some crazy shot, gets an and one, which by the way, and one is you shoot, you make the shot, and you get fouled. So you get an extra free throw, so you can get 3 points for a shot that's only worth 2. I realized I should have probably been explaining the sport as I went more than I did. You're still catching up.
I understand the basics.
Good, yeah. You're still keeping up.
Kind of like Rocket League without cars.
I'm going to make that the title of the... No, I'm not going to do that. Should have title episode, Weeb Sports episode 2.
You could just call it Rocket League without cars.
Rocket League without cars. No, I have another thing.
The thing is, that'd be wrong. Like, Rocket League without cars, that's soccer.
That's soccer, yeah. That's why I didn't do that. But no, so she throws up some crazy shots in one, and me and my little squeaky little kid voice yell, "That was luck!" And Elena Deladon.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'm a little kid. I like to heckle the opposing team. I heckle them normally, but she's right in front of my face because she felt like she kind of stumbled after she threw it up. So she's standing right in front of me, and she stops. Remember, I'm sitting down, and I'm a small child, and this is a grown woman who's 6'5", and she just stares at me for a couple seconds, and then walks back out in the court. And I've never been more scared in my entire life. Never once. I've been in haunted houses.
Girl boss moment.
That I was terrified. I'm
looking her up on Google right now, and yeah,
scary. And so I then from that
I can see how those arms could hurt you.
I then from that point on decided, you know what? I'm a big Elena Deladon fan. Love Elena Deladon.
You're like, you know what? Casey learned how to respect women when he almost peed his pants.
Casey knew
because Elena Deladon.
Casey was just terrified for a couple moments because large women basketball player. Which, by the way, part of it was I was 11. I didn't know women could be that big because my dad is 6'5", and I thought that was the biggest a person could be. And this woman comes up, and she's as big as him, but a little skinnier, so she looks taller. And she's just glaring at me. I'm like, ah! Feel free to make fun of me like for that.
Like that?
Yeah, okay. No, with no facial expression, just pure dead eyes. Like, just pure, like, the most angry glare I've ever received. And I've done a lot of angry glare-worthy things. No, Sarah, trust me. Trust me, it's been worse. Trust me, I know. I'm fully aware of what I said when I said that. All right. So, to wrap up, any questions? You sure?
Yeah, no,
I don't have any. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just thinking about the shakaroni.
So I just had the word basketball, just like.
Jesus Christ. I love this, man. All right, so I think that'll wrap it up.
Basketball.
And I think that'll wrap it up. I've been your host, Casey, here with Evan.
Yo. Oh, yeah, fuck.
And Sarah. I would like to make one thing very clear. I do sincerely apologize. Last episode, I promised to bend Sarah into the sun, and this episode, I did not do so. Next episode.
Elena Deladon, that is a different story.
Elena Deladon,
she will bend you into the sun. Yeah, Elena Deladon will bend you into the sun. There's always a bigger fish.
Elena Deladon will bend Sarah into the sun. Thank you, and have an excellent
No, she'll bend you into the sun.
No, so it can be Sarah.
There's always a bigger fish.
Sarah's hosting. God damn it, we managed to...
Oh, yeah, Sarah's hosting. And she's talking about whatever she wants. And unlike last week when I said that, she's actually talking about whatever she wants. Like, we don't even know.
I already tried to do a segue for this. Can I do my segue again?
Yeah, sorry.
Next week, Elena Deladon bends Sarah into the sun as she talks about whatever she wants. Thank you, and have a great evening.
Basketball.